Hi there, I'm Vincent Bos, and I'm a life coach, relationship coach, and breakup coach. You can change the language of this podcast in the YouTube video settings. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing when your dumper feels lost. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. Subscribe to my weekly support emails. The link is in the description. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing when your dumper feels lost. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you need your ex to miss you. But how can they if they chose to dump you? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 points to consider about when your ex-dumper feels lost. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is they feel it later. Now let me know in the comments if you believe that your ex will one day miss you in the future. Let me know in the comments and let's see what the community thinks. And as I said, point number 1 today is the fact that your ex-dumper will feel lost later. And this is really important to understand, because as I said at the very beginning today, you might be asking yourself, well, how can my ex ever feel lost for something that they chose to lose? They didn't want to be with me. They ended the relationship. They actioned the breakup. How can they then miss me if they've made that choice? Well, the fact of the matter is that beyond the breakup taking place, they aren't necessarily going to miss you, certainly not in the way that is necessary for you to get back together anytime soon. Because as you have rightly thought, they've made this choice, okay? So if they decide to end the relationship, it's very unlikely that a day later they're going to be missing you in a way where they want to reconnect. They've already made that choice. They've lost romantic emotional attraction. It's hit that low point. They've actioned the breakup. But it doesn't mean that they can't feel lost in the future. Now, you as a dumpee, you are feeling it now. You feel discarded. You feel rejected. You feel blindsided. Everything that you wanted was taken away. You potentially begged, pleaded, reasoned. It had no difference. It made no difference. It had no effect on what was taking place. You were dumped, even though you didn't want to be. Now, your ex-dumper, they have decided to live their life on a different path. They're going on a new journey. And this is something that they have decided. And as we've said, right now, they are not necessarily feeling that loss because it is something that they chose to do. But on the journey they are going on, there are a lot of unknown things ahead. And this is where your ex could start to miss you and they could start to feel lost. But we are talking a long time into the future. And this is based on my own research, but what we are looking at here is 6 months and beyond. That 6 to 12 month mark is the average amount of time that I see an ex, a dumper, getting to the stage of where they miss their dumpee enough to want to reach out. Now, this is all based on romantic emotional attraction starting to regrow in their mind. And it hits that necessary high point and they want to reach out. But in essence, this is them feeling the loss to the point of where they want to reach out to you. They want a connection with you. They want that conversation. Now, you as a dumpee, you are going on your own journey. And I certainly don't suggest that you sit at home alone, twiddling your thumbs and just thinking, well, I'm just going to wait 6 to 12 months and my ex will come back. Because unfortunately, not every dumper will. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get an ex back. Nothing works 100% of the time, and nothing fails 100% of the time. So we can't definitively say it's going to happen. So you can't be waiting around. So instead, you need to be living your life to the full. And this will actually help you through breakup recovery. But what it will also do is increase the chance of you in the future not actually feeling the level of loss that you do right now, and in a sense, you and your ex moving in different directions. And this is where sometimes a dumpy, if and when they hear from their ex again, will say thanks, but no thanks. Now you might think that's crazy. You might think, well, I'm never going to turn my dumper down. But if you don't hear from them for 9 months, you have no idea right now how your life could be that far into the future. Things can change in ways that you would never ever predict or imagine. Now listen, they are much less likely to change in a positive way if you are sitting around doing nothing at all. But if you are focusing on your own life, your own goals, your own dreams, if you are focusing on becoming a version 2.0 of yourself, getting out there into the world and socializing in different kinds of ways, well, there is every chance that you are not going to be feeling that level of loss later down the line. And that's nothing to be scared of. You shouldn't be thinking, well, I actually want to feel that loss because I want my ex back. No, if you are not suffering, that is a good thing. Whether or not you meet someone new or whether you just go through breakup recovery and it is not stinging as much by the time your ex reaches out, which there is every chance they will in the future. It doesn't matter whether you have this new person in your life 9 months down the line or whether you are just happily single, because if you hear from your ex, what I care about is you have the choice. The power of choice is all that we want and all that we need. And if they reach out to you, I want you to decide if this proceeds in any type of direction. I don't want you to be feeling as if you owe your ex-dumper anything. I want you to be feeling empowered and feeling that you can do what you feel is right for you in that moment. Maybe you say yes, let's have a conversation. Maybe you say no, I just want to stay single right now. Or perhaps you say thanks but no thanks, but I've actually met someone even better. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please give this video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel to keep updated. And point number 2 is loss comes in different forms. So today we're speaking about when your ex-dumper feels loss. And we've already spoke about the fact that they feel it later than you. It's later down the line. It's going to take them to go on their own journey before they can even have any possibility of missing you and feeling that loss. And that is only going to come if not only that they are doing their own thing, but you are focusing on doing yours. Because if you decide to chase your ex in the interim period, well, they're not going to feel that loss because they've not actually lost you. You're still there, texting, calling, knocking on their door. If you're doing that, that isn't going to enable them to even consider what life is like without you, because you haven't really gone. Whether they've dumped you or not, they can only feel that loss if you give them what they asked for, and that is you not being in their life and you focusing on doing what you're doing. Now, if you do this, then as I said, 6 to 12 months down the line, there is every chance that your ex-dumper will start to feel loss. However, this is where point number 2 comes into play, and that is the loss comes in different forms, and there is only one type of loss that we want you and your ex-dumper to reconnect because of, and that is, of course, romantic loss. Because if your ex feels any other type of loss, this isn't going to reconnect you in a way which is satisfying and fulfilling for you. For instance, the most common other possibility is that your ex misses the friendship with you, and they want a platonic friendship with you post-breakup. They've got to the stage where they've really missed certain elements of your connection, but sadly, it's the platonic parts. Now, it's hard to know straight away from your ex reaching out what exactly it is they're looking for. They're very unlikely to actually state it in this initial message. You will have to have those conversations and potentially meet up to see exactly what they are planning and what they are seeing from their perspective. But if you do come to the conclusion that they are offering platonic friendship, I would say thanks but no thanks. I'm not suggesting you are rude or cruel or horrible, but I do not believe it is healthy for two people to have an active platonic friendship if one of them is actually feeling romantic feelings. If one person is feeling romance and the other person wants platonic, it is not healthy to continue this connection in a platonic way. It's not fair, because you might think, well, they want platonic, I want romance, let's just hang out and I will change their mind. Actually, what is more likely to happen is nothing romantic happens between you, and at some stage your ex says, hey, I've got a new partner, I've got a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend. Would you like to meet them since you're my friend? This would break your heart again. You don't want that. You shouldn't be accepting it. But friendship loss is not the only other type of loss that your ex might be feeling. Sadly, there are other types as well. And this is where we have to be very, very careful. One of the extra types of loss, which we definitely want to avoid, is if your ex is missing your financial support. If it is the financial loss that they miss, which is why they are reaching out to you, maybe it is quite clear if that is the case by the way that they first message or very quickly start messaging. Again, you shouldn't be supporting your ex financially. Now, being a good human being is something that we should all be striving to do, but you are not responsible for your ex. And if they are asking for money or a loan or anything like that, there should be other people that they go to first. And if you are really worried about them, then you should be contacting people on their behalf, contacting the authorities if necessary. But as a dumpee, you shouldn't be thinking, well, if I just give my ex money, this might mean they come back to me. Because even if that was somehow the case, that is not really authentic, is it? That is them coming back to you through financial means. That is not authentic. That's not romantic. How is this going to help you build a relationship on strong, genuine foundations? It's not. It's not real. So please, please be aware of financial loss being the reason that your ex reaches out. Another and one more option I'm going to speak about today is if your ex misses the loss of support. Now, this isn't the same as financial, because this might be you doing them a favor, whether this is you building something for them, or looking after their kids, or helping them out by giving them a lift. Whatever it might be, it doesn't matter as long as it falls into a category where it's not actually financial, but it is, in a sense, something where they need your support. That isn't going to help you. Now, that is not going to be something which allows you to build a romantic relationship once more. In a sense, they are using you. And if you get any type of feeling that that is why your ex is coming back to you, again, be polite, be respectful, but thanks, no thanks. You only want them to come back due to romantic loss. And even though it might be somewhat difficult at first to actually figure out why they've messaged you again, which is the likely way they're going to make contact, contacting you via message is much more likely than even a call, let alone knocking on your door. It's much more likely to be a message of some description. If you receive it, you do have to go with the flow for at least a little while before you can put the pieces of a puzzle together to understand why exactly they have felt the loss and why exactly they want to reconnect. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. This is the best and diamond level of support that I can provide. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. Talking about your feelings can also improve your mental health. It helps prevent the buildup of negative emotions, which can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Speak your heart to free your mind. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast. If you feel that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description. And point number 3 is make sure fantasy is reality. So today we're speaking about when your ex-dumper feels loss. And let's just suggest that they do come back to you for that authentic reason that they are missing you in a romantic sense. Now, by the way, it's important for me to add here that if and when they do reach out to you, I don't suggest you ask, hey, is this because you miss me romantically? Don't actually ask them like that. It's not really the way to go about it. It's going to kill the mood and make things feel very, very awkward. You've just got to use a combination of your common sense and your intuition about how things start to proceed. But let's just say that they are going in a way which seems very much like they miss you in a romantic sense, which is wonderful. What we've got to then make sure is that fantasy is reality, because their fantasy at this time is they miss you romantically, that they are feeling the loss romantically, that only you could fill. There is a hole in their life which is the same shape as you. We've got to make sure that you actually fit that hole, because unfortunately I often see dumpers reaching out to dumpies. It is authentic, they want to reconnect romantically, but due to the dumpy's behaviour during this time of reconnection, the dumper comes to a conclusion, actually, what was I thinking? This is not the person I want. I dumped them. I should have realised that. Why did I start to regrow attraction? This is crazy. We don't want that to happen to you. And the reason it sometimes does is because the dumpy starts acting in ways which are not attractive at all. They start to repel their dumper rather than pulling them closer and closer together. So you must be wondering now, well, what is it that I might do which is going to push my ex away if they are starting to miss me and feel that loss? What on earth could I do to make things go wrong? Well, of course, it depends on your specifics. And this might be something we speak about via my audio coaching service to understand your unique circumstances. But in a somewhat generalized sense, we need to make sure that you stay calm, stable, confident, happy, carefree, fun. All of those great descriptive words are key. We need to make sure you don't slip into being somebody who is needy, who is jealous, who is possessive, who is angry, who is bitter, who is constantly quizzing them, okay? You need to balance this very carefully as you start to reconnect, because otherwise, the fantasy that they have of you, of being this great person they want to be with, is quickly going to diminish. We don't want that. We want the fantasy they have of you, which at this time would be brilliant. We want that to be the reality. So be positive, not negative. Be someone who is respectful, not controlling. Don't start to jump to conclusions. Don't start falling into negative patterns. Don't start doing the things that potentially were the reason you were dumped in the first place. Of course, I don't know your specifics in this podcast, but if you know deep down your behaviour caused the breakup, you've got to be extra careful. You don't slip into bad old habits. Make sure that you live your best life. Make sure that reality matches their fantasy.